welcome. This is the Ali Family Podcast, episode 2. Thank you for joining us.
The things that we like for our content that we like to look at, content that we like to listen to, and content that we like to create. We're also talking a little bit more about just investments, things that we've invested in physically, but also the internal type of investments, things that you'll feel better about, but might not be the traditional investments that people think about. As always, we love to do business with other Black people that are doing it big in your industry. We love to celebrate Black excellence, celebrate Black love.
So I guess every weekend we're watching some show. There's like, The Shy, Insecure, Ghost, what's that called? Power Book. None of those shows are currently on, but I think you know how Google spies on you or whatever. It knows my interests, so every couple of days it'll tell me some updates. It's getting me really excited. I still don't know when the next seasons are going to start for all of the shows, but I know they're like all currently filming now. So I know this is going to be like Insecure's last final season, the 5th and final season. And then after this, the creator of Insecure, Issa Rae, is going to go and make a show that's co-executive produced by the City Girls. It's about like two rappers, which they are. I'm guessing it's going to be funny because Issa Rae usually puts out funny content. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's like, so maybe having this new show will sort of replace, the spot that Insecure took up in my heart. So I'm excited about that.
There's a lot of good content out there, either Black directed or Black lead. So for me, I would have to say For Life has been really good. Just that story of telling about what a Black man's experience had been who had been wrongly, if you've seen it already, I don't want to give you too much, but if you haven't, For Life, definitely check it out. Directed, written, Black people. Shout out to 50 Cent. He's doing his thing. Good team around him. So looking forward to more content coming from him. I know there's a BMF series that's supposed to be also in the works with 50 Cent. So a lot of things he's been touching has been working.
What does BMF stand for?
Black Mafia Family.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big Meech. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in addition to For Life, Snowfall has come back.
Mm-hmm.
John Singleton, R.I.P. Definitely a man who shaped my view of Blackness from the 90s. Like, all of the films that he put out really gave a really interesting perspective about, like, either what was happening out in L.A. or New York, or just gave a lot of rappers or R&B singers entrances into the acting game that previously weren't getting those opportunities, and really turned them into superstars. Whether you're talking Ice Cube, Tyrese Gibson, Janet Jackson, and the list goes on. That's just to name a few off the top. Tupac, yeah, R.I.P. Tupac. Mm-hmm. Big shout out. So far, it's been good. Can't really tell any drop off from the previous season, so that's really exciting. Mm-hmm. We got to show support. So more Black stories can continue to be told. Yeah, that's what I'm into right now.
Nice. And I guess speaking of Black content, there's some Black movies that we were waiting for all of 2020 that are finally coming out.
Very soon.
Yes.
Big facts. So we got Judas and the Black Messiah. Mm-hmm. Haven't seen it yet, but the soundtrack is fire. Mm-hmm. Nipsey Hussle, Jay-Z. That track is living. That track is riding to that. That's on point.
The Nas track was good too.
The Nas track was good too. I like that the day when it came out, but more so I've still been listening to the Nipsey Hussle and Jay-Z more. So that's been staying with me. I think Coming to America is coming soon.
Yes.
Depending when you see this, it may be out already or it may be coming, but it's coming in March, the first week of March. So excited about that. Looking forward to Respect, for sure. There's another singer that has a story out. If you have Hulu, Billie Holiday has something that's out, and that's looking like it's going to be really good too. So worth checking out. I think it was skillfully strategized by all of these streaming companies to have a lot of this coming out during Black History Month, which I'm not mad at, but I just want to make sure that this content continues to come out throughout the year. So we'll keep our eyes out. There have been some good things that have been in the works, got pushed back a little bit. So I know Candyman is one that a lot of people were looking forward to seeing. I think Jordan Peele had something to do with that, so that should be pretty good. And yeah, there's a few more, so more to come.
Yeah, you mentioned like Black History Month. You thought it was a good strategy for a lot of these to come out during Black History Month. Speaking of Black History Month, a lot of people are like, "Well, why is it just a month?" Or we should be celebrating Black History 365. You see sort of those sound bites out there. Do you feel a certain way?
I mean, our channel is about celebrating Black excellence 365. So always going to be celebrating all things Black excellence. But as far as the month goes, people need to do their research. It was specifically set this month for some very specific reasons. I'll just say do your research. It started off as a week, progressed to a month. This month, like I said, was chosen for the purpose of African Americans and some of the accomplishments that were made in America. For me, when I think of Black History Month, I think of it more as just awareness, like Black history awareness, and making sure that it's celebrated and made known. If you look at a calendar and you just search Awareness Month, you'll see January, February, March, April. They all have one. So all I'm saying is I think we also deserve one. But for sure, there's pride that we have all throughout the year. And I don't think February should be the only month that we take pride in who we are. Just like all of those other awareness months, those people are themselves throughout the year. But it does help to spread awareness. So I think it needs to stay. I think there's people who want to be very contrarian or playing devil's advocate. But if anything, we should be moving to where we're looking at ways that we can engage even more and talk about our issues more, but keep the month.
I agree. I think it, at least helps people become more aware of things in history that Black people have done, have contributed to, and for people to be able to put a face or a name with like the invention or the discovery.
We built this country.
We did.
So you need ours. Give us ours.
Agreed.
We also look at the respect that we give everyone else when it comes to honoring different contributions that have been made, whether it's historically civil rights, whether it's amendments, all of that comes from the Constitution. So people always respect the people that contributed towards that, or your presidents, or all of their history. I think it's equally for us to be able to talk about our history and continue the legacy that our ancestors did fight for to make sure that we had this month and more. Like, we're not going to just be okay and March comes and now it's back to just all types of craziness 24/7. We're going to still have that pride in who we are. That needs to happen more. So I agree with people who say that. Like, don't let March come and then just be back to nothing. Continue to spread that awareness.
Absolutely.
So I think just talking about Blackness and our generational experiences of ancestors and people that have really put in a lot of work. There's work on both sides. There's work that people have put on the civil side, and there's also the wealth, the money, and generational wealth is equally as important. So just like I want to have the right to vote, I also want to have the right to create any type of investment that anyone else would have the opportunity to. And we are just starting to get a lot of that information now, just because the internet, big time technology, phones, is making a lot of that information that previously was held from us and it's making us more aware of it, because I know we're not learning it in school. Like, they're not teaching us about the stock market, 401ks, the difference between a Roth IRA and the difference between a regular 401k, and then also just the benefit of compound interest and the benefit of starting that as early as possible versus waiting until I was in my late 20s, which is still cool. Doing it is a great start. So once you make those starts, your money's working for you. But just a lot of that information, even about having children, talking about different types of accounts that you can open on behalf of your child to make sure that they're set up and that compound interest is working for them. So when we talk about investing, I guess it is changing very quickly. Just the different things that you want to invest in. I don't give investment advice. I'm not a certified financial, taking classes in college, but it's not my trade. So when it does come to that, I always think about just the information and learning. Really have to put a lot of hours into it. I think before I make any investment, I try to at least put a week's worth of hours into it before I put any money into it. So stocks have become a lot more popular because of what's happened with GameStop. So a lot more young people I'm hearing to invest now, which is good. We need our young people to get into it just the way they get into playing basketball or playing sports games or just video games. So if we can get young people into investing, that's a game changer. But just the education behind it is crucial because it changes so fast. So you can be talking about stocks, even just within stocks, before moving from stocks, you have individual stocks, then you have some people like ETFs, which are a little more safe. I guess the difference between it, just to kind of give a quick breakdown, individual stocks might just be Apple. Like, I want to buy some Apple products. But it's more risky because if something good happens to Apple, right, it goes up. But if something bad goes, it goes down. And there's no additional protection around that stock. Whereas an ETF gives you more stocks within that same industry. So within Apple, you might also have something that gives you Microsoft and something else that gives you Cash App or Facebook or Google or Amazon, right? So just a little more additional protections around your stock. We have a good amount of both. We do have some individual options of stocks that we have, but we have some ETFs. So that's just stocks. And there's even more that you can get into stocks, but just with the world that we're living in and being virtual, there's a lot that's happening with blockchain right now. There's a lot that's happening with sports cards. You name the sport is hot. Basketball, soccer, football, sneakers. There's a sneaker market. You can spend 160 and that 160 can get turned into 500 pretty easily. It's harder to get sneakers now because we are virtual. So I think a lot of the people that used to be in the sneaker game are switching to the cards game. People like myself, I throw myself out there. So I have been getting more into cards. I was into cards when I was younger, and it's something that I kind of just got back into. So more to be talked about there. But even on top of that, it's really just about finding a balance of doing something that you're putting your money into, doing the research, being happy about it. You can't let this stress you out because if it's easy to get stressed out. Like, it's easy to be on your phone, just looking up and down, checking. Just mental health, it goes hand in hand with investing. So I just look at it like I invest in the things that I like. If I use them, it just doesn't have to be something that, I hear somebody talking about and it's making money, so I'm going to just put myself into it. Like, I need a better understanding of it. I need it to make sense where it's looking like my life can understand it and see the relevance of it. So just as far as investing goes, like, what do you think?
Well, I feel like it's important for me to like invest in my future. So like, you're working for a company, invest in your retirement plan. Now, a lot of companies will match what you contribute to your retirement, a certain percentage. So that's super important. I mean, coming from a finance background, be informed that, you should have X percentage amount of your salary saved by the time you're this age. There are charts out there online. You can go out and look up, if I want to retire at X age, how much should I be saving for my retirement each month? You want to make sure that you're setting yourself up, because if you're working at a company and not working for yourself, and you can't rely on the fact that your money will continue to grow, or if you don't become sort of independently wealthy, you'll need sort of nest egg or whatever to make sure you're set up for the future. And if you fit that description, then you should be contributing to some sort of retirement account regularly, so that by the time you retire, you don't have to worry about how your living expenses will be covered.
True. Even if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you're not working at a place that has a 401k, you can go to any bank and open up IRA account, and you don't have to have a company making any contributions. Better to probably get it set up as early as possible. Like, just understanding compound interest and how much it grows exponentially. That's the best thing that you can really do to set yourself up to have $1 million when you're retired. It's really easy if you start in your teens or your early 20s. So if you're a working person, 9 to 5, right? That's how people say it. So if you have a 9 to 5, 100% take advantage of your company's 401k plan and make sure that you get that match. Whatever percentage you need to get the match, put that in at least. But also have your individual account, because one thing that always happens is we're not going to be at the same job for like 30 years. And when you leave, you want to make sure that you have something that you can roll that into. Or if you don't, if you like the company's option, you can keep it and just manage that yourself. But if not, it's always good to have something to roll it into, just as an option. But also, if you're an entrepreneur and you're just making your money, you can still have an IRA account with your bank, and making sure that before you're putting the money from your profit into anything, you're putting a portion of that into your account. They just upped the amount that you can put in annually for a Roth this year. So each year you can put up to, before last year, it was about $5,500. I think this year, $6,500 you can put in, which will grow. And that's money that'll, once we're talking about, again, compound interest, and it's not being taxed. So just something to make sure that, so I want to reach out to all of my entrepreneurs, like the same way that you make your money, you reinvest that money back into your business, but also making sure that you're putting some of that money into an IRA. And whatever bank you choose, it's up to you. They're all really great, but just, it's something to look at, because unfortunately, some of us don't think about it until we have the job that kind of sets it up for us.
For sure.
That was me. I didn't have my I didn't have a 401k until I got a job that told me about it, and I missed a good 5 years of opportunity to have some money just growing. But that's the generational information. We don't. That's not the information that our parents tell us. When you turn X age, set this count up for you, and just put in X amount of money in it each year, and just don't touch it, and see what happens 20 years.
That's good information. So that's literally like investing in yourself. And
True.
People nowadays, we talk about, investing in yourself, and it's meant sort of not quite financially, like building up your accounts, investing in your well-being. What are some ways that in the past you've invested in yourself and you enjoyed the dividends? And what are some ways that you are currently doing that? What are some ways you want to do that in the future?
It's a good question.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask you right back, so make sure you're ready. Currently, I'm putting a lot of time into understanding non-fungible tokens. I think that's the most recent thing I've started to do some research into. NFTs, a lot of people just say NFTs for short, but it lives on the blockchain. So once people start talking about blockchain and cryptocurrency, it's really just expanding into a lot of other areas. And it's kind of crossing into other areas that I was already interested in. So like I mentioned, I was doing a lot of research into sports cards and really trying to understand that more, and found some ways to monetize a childhood hobby of mine. So I collected sports cards when I was like 5 years old, and probably until I was about 14, and just kind of found my collection after seeing some information online, and it's worth thousands of dollars. And I've been able to just understand more about how things are by putting research into it. And honestly, I didn't think it would ever be worth anything. I thought it was just something I was going to collect as a child and bring me fun. So that's something that's been paying off. To continue about some things that have paid off, college, honestly, has probably been the biggest return for me. Not that I've used my degree for any of the work that I'm doing right now, but it has opened the doors for me to really get some more opportunities for work, and also the networking, like people that I've met in college. Some people I've been able to maintain some relationships with, not as much that I would want to, but definitely through social media. And I think the biggest thing that I put a lot of time into is just self-care mentally, just making sure that I make time each day to mentally prep for the day, downtime for myself where I just visualize really positive and happy things. Small stuff, but just trying to find that time within each day to just take some time for mental health, especially with the amount of traumatic things that continue to happen and the amount of help that a lot of our people within the community need. Can't really help anyone if my mental health isn't where it needs to be. So those have really been good, paying off good dividends for me. What about you?
In the past, what I've done that I thought was really good for me, just being more active, exercising, all that stuff, and getting back to it more recently, so that's good. Man, so I'm in this Bible app, and the Bible is wild, man. I mean, I remember like these like Bible stories or whatever, but like now I have like my AirPods in, and I'll listen to like books of the Bible. It's very entertaining, to say the least. So I feel like just having
spiritual investment
and having those stories sort of like in my bag or whatever, those are good. And another cool thing is that I'm very entertained by the current books that I'm on right now. And the future things that I hope to do is continue on the active trajectory. Yeah, that's it.
Another connection of some things that I do for my mental health, listening to music. It'll get you in the mood that you need to be in. There's so much historically great music from our community where we can just kind of go in and tap into some of those things. I think you were mentioning Lauryn Hill's, she just had a recent achievement.
Yes. So, her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which was the soundtrack to
classic
middle school or high school, whenever that was. My soundtrack to my life, man, for years.
Still bumps today.
Absolutely. It's 20 years old, like this year, and it went 10 times platinum, which means it's diamond, which no other female rap artist has done. So that's history making. I mean, she's the greatest ever. We can debate. I'm a fan.
The greatest. What category?
Everything. She's great.
Greatest woman?
No.
Or just overall the greatest artist? I want clarity. What do you say?
Oh my gosh, man. Certainly the greatest female rapper. Point blank. Period.
Okay.
She's a great writer. She sings very well. She's the best. She's in like another category.
I put her in my top 15. But that's another podcast.
Okay, yes.
Body of work. It's all about body of work.
Okay. It's all about skill level. Like you can drop one magnificent album that,
But 10 times platinum does speak for itself.
It does.
That's pretty up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's high.
It is.
I do wonder. It would be pretty cool if Lauryn Hill saw this. Like, we are definitely giving you a lot of love.
Yes.
There's artists more recently, like Teyana Taylor. I know that's been really giving Lauryn Hill a lot of love. Kanye West, I know he's been putting on a lot of love for her. So, we just want you in good health. We want to see just family being well. If you never put out another body of music, you're still in the tops. So
Absolutely.
Definitely appreciate the contributions that Lauryn Hill has made to the music community.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, it does make me think there really hasn't been a lot of music, not even just this year, just towards from the summer to now. There's really, so it depends which category of music you like. If you like R&B, I would say there's probably been a little more good R&B that's come out this year, for sure, and last year. Not a lot, but if you're an R&B person and you're in a place in your life where you can appreciate R&B, then I would say the time is good for it. And I have a theory about when you can appreciate R&B.
Say more.
But that's another podcast.
Okay.
But if you're a person like me who hip-hop is the primary music that you like and enjoy and listen to, you got to admit, it's been pretty quiet. Like, when you're talking about the big dogs, right? And not just to be a commercial. Like, I know there's more rap than just commercial releases, but for me, when I think about Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Jay-Z, Drake, man, I've been waiting on this Drake album for months. That thing was supposed to come, then it didn't come. Then it was supposed to come, then it didn't come. And people having secret dates and won't drop. And I think the best, I think we might have talked a little bit about some of our musical tastes, but even last year, trying to think of a top 10, there wasn't really a strong 10. Like, there was a strong 5. And even like now that I'll go back and listen to more. But even now, I'm still going back to music from listening to Nipsey, Victory Lap. Like, that still gets a lot of play. A lot of Jay-Z. The Judas and the Black Messiah soundtrack pretty much has been the best release overall sonically for me this year. I know Lil Durk has been putting out a lot of stuff consistently, so he's a candidate for most improved this year. If he continues with the releases and continues with the body of work, I do see the growth and improvement in what he's putting out. But yeah, maybe besides Lil Durk and Judas and the Black Messiah, I can't really tell you what's dropped this year in hip hop that I'm excited about. There's some up and coming people, some people that are on the radar. The people that maybe December will look back and say, okay, that person did something. I know there's some up and coming people, so I do want to respect the up and comers. I know there's a rapper, Pooh Shiesty. He really had a great song on the Judas and Black Messiah soundtrack. It's called No
Profanity.
No Profanity. Very, very good song, worth listening to. There's some MVP candidates. That soundtrack might be having a fire year this year. So I think I want to see what Hit Boy's cooking up. He made a lot of good collabs last year with some different rappers that I really enjoyed. So if this is what he's starting the year off with, it could be really good. But yeah, I don't know. I think artists, they might just be waiting until the whole world is outside. So maybe they're waiting until the summer for a release. I don't know, but we hey, drop it. We'll appreciate it and listen to it. Kind of gets us into the conversation of just how technology is just making it easier to just have a virtual experience. Like, we're all YouTube, that's really getting into different platforms, whether it's listening, watching. I know for me, I actually like to listen to YouTube more than I like to watch it. I know it's funny, but I don't watch YouTube videos. I literally play and then I'll scroll up and just read the comments, or I'll just hear the video and be doing other stuff. So just virtual experiences are based on the individual. Um, but for content, that's a different thing because from this side of it, we're not thinking about just watching it. We're thinking about just the creation perspective. So I do hope that people are watching and not just scrolling and listening to the comments. So I might think about that differently now that I'm more so on this side of it and thinking about all of the things that you try to put into it. I think besides YouTube, we do also put some content out on Instagram. One Ali Family 19 on Instagram. It's worth checking out. I believe it's also in our banner on our homepage. Besides YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, we have the same name on Twitter. What do you like for your best social media platform?
Okay, I think I use the different platforms for different things. Okay, so I'm thinking about like Facebook right now. I used to use it just to keep up with my people, but now I really just use it for the different Facebook groups I'm a part of, like, cooking and, women's group or whatever.
True. There's a lot of good groups
just
on
that.
Facebook.
So I really just, I go onto Facebook and I look at what's the latest posts within the groups that I'm a part of. So that's mainly what I use Facebook for. For Instagram, we create content on Instagram, and I like the thought that we put into it, so that part of it is fun. And then I also just like scrolling through pictures and short videos, like different categories of interest. If you look at the same types of things a certain amount of times, then it'll pop up.
In the search category on Instagram.
Yes. So I enjoy just looking at that a lot. Similarly, everything's on Pinterest. Oh my goodness. Recipes, ideas about outfits, hairstyles, sort of health things, list of the top 10 foods to help with XYZ.
So what would you say your top 3 are? Like your top 3 social media platforms?
Oh.
Because there's a lot. We could spend this whole thing talking about them.
Well, YouTube. Because even in the days when I didn't really watch TV, I kind of watch TV on YouTube. Can find anything on YouTube. So that occupied a lot of my time just looking on YouTube. That's definitely in the top 3. I guess now Instagram is also in the top 3 because of the reasons I mentioned. And the third, only 3, probably Pinterest. I've used it so much. And Facebook is probably a close 4th because of the groups. Did you already rate yours?
In my head, yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
I have a top 2. I don't really have 3. So for me, just Instagram and YouTube, honestly. Facebook, to me, kind of just to tie back to the point I made earlier about maintaining my mental health. Facebook is not a place that is beneficial for my mental health.
I agree.
So just because it's a little bit more than I can control, and just the way that comments are, and just it's just a lot of different variables for me that I like to have a little more control of. So I love Instagram for that because you really can control the content just based off of who you're following, who's following you, kind of curates your experience. We do put a lot of thought into just putting in something that's going to be uplifting and something beneficial for our people, something that is going to give you some motivation, something that's going to put a smile on your face, something that's just going to make you think, maybe give you some value that you might not even get it when you first look at it. It might hit you a little minute later and you just realize oh, okay, yeah, let me share that. That was cool. So we just kind of try to think about that and just creating a brand and just like a media platform across all boards that is really just consistently just celebrating us, like, and not just us, I'm saying all of us, like, we want all Black people to win. You know, we definitely push that message, and it's easier and I think more efficient to push through Instagram and YouTube. But if I had to choose a 3, I'm curious about Clubhouse. I don't have enough information right now to say that it's in my top 3, but Clubhouse has some things in it that really work, and I see some other apps really even starting to adapt now. I think Facebook and Twitter actually like adopting some of the audio functions that Clubhouse offers. But yeah, Twitter doesn't really do it for me. Facebook doesn't really do it for me. So yeah, for me, it's just Instagram and YouTube. If I'm not there, I'm not on social media. We tried TikTok. We have like 1 follower on TikTok.
That's okay. Thank you for following.
Hey, thank you, 1 follower on TikTok.
Yes.
You know, if you want to check out our TikTok, same name everywhere. One Ali Family 19.
Yes.
So we're gonna start to play around with some shorts. We're gonna start to play around with some reels. So that could be some ways to just collaborate and push some more content towards TikTok. But yeah, I don't get it, and I don't really spend a lot of time trying to understand it. So hey, if you have some TikTok tips, put them in the comments. It's definitely an area that we can grow and do a better job with. But YouTube is fun. Instagram is fun. I think Versus for me has made Instagram a little fun. Looking forward to see what Versus does now that the world is a little more open now. So we'll see. Every episode, we're trying to do different things to highlight different Black businesses. So this shirt was made by a local Black entrepreneur. Definitely some really good Black businesses out there, and if you're one of them, you know, if you're a person that is doing something that we can highlight and we can share and collaborate with, definitely reach out to us. We kind of just introduced some more spaces into our visuals, so you know, if you're a bigger company and you want to just learn more about what we're doing, definitely reach out to us. But yeah, thank you for listening to us. You've been listening to the Ali Family Podcast, episode 2.